everyone, Couch here. Wanted to give you a little bit of an update. I am getting better. I'm not taking any more pain medication. I'm still on crutches and non-weight bearing, but things are, I'm feeling like I'm gonna heal and I am gonna get better. Where half a week ago, I would have thought there was no way. And then 2 weeks ago, I was like, there's no way. Like, this is awful. I couldn't wait to feel better, but things are going better. So, and I do get to start work even if I'm on crutches. So that's a win. I was worried they weren't gonna let me come to work. So, and Tuesday's my MRI, where they figure out if they have to do surgery or not. So, waiting for Tuesday. So I'm gonna do a little video about the gear that I ended up with and the changes I would still make. Okay, so my hoodie, I quit bringing this with me probably, well, the first time I came home with my niece, because it was warm outside, I didn't need it, and I had my puffy, so at night, if I needed something, I had that. And during the day, if it was cool, I could just put on my rain jacket. So that's why I left this home, and this saved me 1 pound of weight. I stayed with my Sawyer water filter, and I use these Smart Water bottles. I love these tops. I had an extra one with me all the time, just in case one broke, but I loved these. And I know some people say these tops always break. I only had one break in all the miles that I did, and I just love them. They were just the easiest way for me to drink water. I had 2 of these with me on my hike, and I changed them out probably every week or every 2 weeks. I just threw them out and got new ones. So I had 2 700 milliliters with me, and that's all the water that I brought with me when I was hiking. On my backpack on the top, I had these net pockets. I would not do these again because I kept getting caught in tree branches and stuff when I was hiking through Vermont and New Hampshire. And so I would have to get someone to get me unstuck, which was no fun. So yeah, I wouldn't do this again. I did have the Z-Pack Vertices rain jacket and the mitts, and I also didn't have my winter mitts with me anymore once it got warmer. And I know people say you should always have your gloves with you no matter what, but what I did have was these are actually women's fishing sun gloves, and I would wear these, and they have like little pads here, really good for holding onto the trekking pole, but also kept the sun off my skin. My mom had melanoma, and so I wanted to make sure that I wasn't exposed to skin, which is why I always wore long sleeve shirts and why I wore my long pants all the time. People asked me all the time if I was hot all the time, and I didn't feel like I was any hotter than everybody else was experiencing. I mean, you're climbing mountains and you're sweating and you're hot. So, but my plan was, if I had a cool night, I would wear these with the Vertice rain mitts. So that was my plan, to keep my hands warm with the gear. So, and I also had, I still had the rain pants, although I don't know if I would have kept the rain pants anymore either, because I never ever wore them. I did have this Tyvek that I used as a ground sheet for my tent, my 3-person tent. I had the Z-Pack Trio with the trekking pole, not the trekking poles, with the carbon fiber poles. I couldn't find a tent that I thought was lighter and justify the money when Eddie left, so I kept, using the same stuff. Now, this does feel pretty heavy, but as far as a freestanding tent goes, it is what it is. But if I was to do anything else, I would probably do the Z-Pack Solo or the Duplex. and I would just use my trekking poles, and I wouldn't do the freestanding. And the reason why I say that, this freestanding was great in like storms and stuff, but when I watched the weather, and when the weather was bad, I didn't stay out there. So that's why I would do that. I had the little seat pad from Z-Packs. I think it's $10. It served me well. This Tyvek sheet I also used in the shelters. I slept in the shelters a lot, and I would put my stuff on it, and I would put my sleeping pad on it, and it just kept I was just protecting my sleeping pad from getting punctures and stuff from the wooden bottoms of the shelters. So I would do this again. My Z-Pack Trio. I did have problems with this getting some holes in the netting, and they were just random holes at the top, like inside the tent. And but I contacted Z-Packs, and they sent me a return label to send this back, and they're going to warranty repair my tent. So, and no questions asked, like they just, yeah. So they're good company. My trekking poles broke, and they sent me a whole new set of poles for under warranty. I had one of these pouches, the zipper quit, and I had all my stuff in it, and I couldn't get it out because I'd closed the zipper, and then this whole part broke off, and so everything was stuck in it. I had to cut it out to get my stuff out of it, and like the whole zipper just came right off. They sent me a whole new one for free, like no questions asked. So all you have to do is send them a picture, and they take care of it. I also had problems with my pack, and they took care of that too. So Z-Packs was very good to me on my hike, and I would use them again. So this is my first aid. Probably didn't need to use this heavy of a bag. I could have used a Ziploc for this. I had a lighter in here, and that was to sterilize needles. And also it just gave me a backup lighter for my camping stove in case my lighter didn't work or I ran out of fuel in it. Tweezers for ticks. This ended up being something I bought at Burke's Garden Hostel, and it was CBD salve, and I bought it so that I could put it on my knees and stuff. I don't know if it helped. I would never buy it again. Lucas tape. If you're a hiker, you know that I used a lot of this. Every day I was putting Lucas tape on my feet, and it saved my feet. So I would definitely not go hiking without this. Oh, this little Advil thing was what I kept my my needles in, so that if I needed to sew dental floss through a blister so that it had a hole through one end through the other, and that's how you can look that up, how to treat blisters. But these are my needles for that. I wanted to keep them in something that they couldn't possibly puncture anything else. Oops. This was my dental floss for blisters and for my teeth if I needed. Oh, and this was a little tick remover that I got from Z-Packs. That was for the bigger ticks. That didn't work on the little ones, but it works on the bigger ones. And then this is my Z-Packs gear repair kit that also has a needle in it. I used this needle to puncture some of the blisters that I had. I would just, sterilize it. And then this is my mattress repair kit. So that's what I had inside my first aid kit. I had a whistle with me because my husband made sure that I had a whistle. He wanted to make sure I didn't go home without it in case I needed it. And that's just in case, if you're in an emergency situation, you can't yell loud enough, you can blow a whistle. This was my comb because my hair is very curly and it gets very tangled. And so this is my wide tooth comb, and I cut the handle off of it. I had a toothbrush. And these are my little flossers that I had. I had this lip gloss for my lips so that they wouldn't dry and get burned, but honestly they only got dry in the winter, so I didn't need that after that. I did end up using this Sea to Summit soap, a couple drops of that. I used it to clean some claws and to clean myself a few times, not in the water source, of course, away from the water source, but I would definitely bring this again. Toothpaste, I had a few Q-tips and hair ties. This Aquaphor, I use this for like on my feet, just to like, our feet spent a lot of time in water because we had so much rain on the trail, and so I would put this on my feet because the water would just dry my feet out. So just put that on, especially if I knew like in the morning and I knew I was going to be walking in water and mud, then I would coat this on my feet before I went hiking, and then sometimes at night. But then I would put socks on over top of it if I did it at night so that this wouldn't get all over my quilt and all over my sleeping pad. But this stuff really was good to have. Pair of nail clippers, and then I had a small tube of moisturizing lotion because I did struggle with dry skin. All right, what else is in the bag? Oh, that was given to me, but I didn't end up using it. This was my food bag. It's a hyper light and it's really big and long. And honestly, I got this because Eddie left the trail, and so we changed from bear canisters to this so that I would have a lighter pack. And honestly, I think I would have liked the kind that opens. It opens this way, but it's more wide. So it's like this and wide, and not tall like this, but more like this. And so you would open it this way. I think I would have liked that better. I know Z-Pack sells that, but yeah. But it is a light bag. All right, so my hiking pants. These are REI, and they are made of part nylon. They're really great. The only thing is they're not very light. They're not lightweight, but they definitely did the job. They did not stay, they say they're water resistant, maybe a little bit, but honestly, I got soaking wet, and when these got wet, they stayed wet. So they weren't like the hiking pant material that dries pretty quick. So I probably wouldn't buy them again. I'll use them in this, you know, until they don't work anymore, but I wouldn't buy them again. For underwear, I just used underwear that I already had, but I would trade it now for REI's hiking underwear. It's not very expensive. That's what the other girls I was hiking with used, and the underwear I brought, when it got wet, it would just stretch and like become huge, and theirs didn't do that. Theirs still fit them appropriately. So anyway, I would definitely do that. And then this was just not a sports bra. I said in the very beginning, I didn't want one that I had to pull over my head, especially if it was wet, because that happened. You have to put on white gear the next day. But I would try to find something at a hiking store or an outdoor equipment store that's thinner and lighter than this one that I took from home. Oh, just an empty bag. Oh, an empty bag. Okay, and then oh, and this is my long sleeve shirt. This is from REI, and it is really lightweight. It is 50 SPF for sunscreen, and super, super light, and it dries. No, it doesn't dry really fast. But it is a great shirt. It feels light. It didn't feel heavy on me, and I never got burned through it, so that was good. And I was on top of lots of mountains where I was exposed. I bought this clear plastic bag off from Garage Gear. Is that the name of the company? GGG. I don't know what it all stands for, but Wanderlust. I forget what her name is, the other hiker. She's very famous. Anyway, she suggested these bags, and so I ordered them. They're $2 and something cents each. You got 2 of them for $5. And they kept my stuff dry and protected inside the bag. So I quit putting everything inside a dry bag. So I would just shove all my clothes in here, and my quilt, and my sleeping pad. My sleeping pad I did change to the newest Thermarest. It's 12 ounces, and it was a lot quieter. And I'm telling you, from being in all the shelters that I was around other people, or even just being in tent sites and listening to other hikers, you know, roll around at night, this was way quieter than everybody else. So yeah, this was great. It comes in this and a bluish color. I picked it up at REI last minute so I could get back on the trail, and they only had the yellow, but I would have got the blue. But it was 12 ounces, and this thing was awesome. For a quilt, I ordered another Enlightened Equipment quilt, and I got a 30-degree bag. And I was trying to cut weight, and you'll think this is silly, but I didn't get the collar that it comes with. But this one here, I didn't get the kind that had the sewn-in toe box. I got the kind that the zipper, you can make a toe box if you wanted it. So the zipper goes from here to here, and this cinches up. And then you would just use the quilt the regular way that it works, the quilts work. And so I liked having that flexibility, because some nights were really hot and I would just open this thing completely up, and I could just, you know, lay it on or stick my foot out or whatever. So anyway, I really like this thing. This is a 30-degree. When Eddie and I, when Eddie quit hiking, I bought the 0-degree, and it was the sewn-in foot box, and that thing was amazing too. I mean, all the way through the Smokies, I was not cold, and it was cold. So, great quilt. I mean, I can't recommend their quilts enough. Outdoor 76, I still have their, I forget what you call these. Do you know what these are, Eddie? Buffs, yeah. Yeah, still have my buff. And I still have my Z-Packs. This is not the wool one, this is the thinner one. And at night I would sleep with this on, most nights. Unless it was really hot, I didn't, but it also helped prevent mosquitoes. And sometimes I would wear it when I was sleeping like this. And so it would cut the light, and the hikers with their, you know, headlamps and all that stuff. So it cut all of that, because this is doubled right here. So Anyway, I really like this for multiple reasons. Oh, here's my rain pants that I never wore. Let's talk about this. This is a Norwex body rag. I was not one of those hikers that could just change into dry clothes and hop into bed at night. I had to like wipe down. And I didn't like the taking wipes and wiping my whole body down. So I would take this rag, and I don't know if you know about these. These are antimicrobial, antibacterial. And so I would take this rag, and when I would go get water at night, I would dip this rag in water and I would get it soaking wet, and I would just loosely like get water out of it. And then I would either go to a privy or somewhere else, and I would change into my dry clothes, but I would wipe my body down, except for the private regions. The private regions I always use wipes for. But then I would take this, and because I never use soap or anything, I could just rinse this out, and this would just clean in a stream. And so then I would just hang it on the outside of my pack. I had this little orange thing, and I could just hang it, and it would dry. And then every day, and if I wasn't at a stream or anything I could do that, I would just collect extra water in my, I'll show you that, and I would just get it wet, and then I would just wait till the next stream or water crossing, and I could, even if I had to clean it the next day, I would rinse it and clean it and squeeze it. And this thing, you're not supposed to use soap with this. And I'm not kidding you. You literally could use this rag and like do your underarms, and you could smell, and there was no more smell. It would get all the salt, that thick salt that was on your face, it would get it all off. So I always used the side with the tag for my feet, and I always use this for the rest of my body, except for my private regions, and then that got wipes. But I kept that system the whole time, and I felt very comfortable each night using this. And then when I got to a hostel, I would wash it. But I swear by these. They do such a good job of really getting all of the dirt, all of the salt, all of the smell off of you, which is good because then you're not taking your expensive quilt and you're not stinking it up. Like, this doesn't stink, which is really nice because I was able to clean myself every day. So that was just something for me that kept me sane. So that was what was that for, and that's a Norwex rag. I had 2 pairs of socks that I hiked in. The 2 pairs of socks that I switched out, and then these were my night socks. I had another pair of these, but there was a hiker from Japan that was hiking the long trail, and his toe blew out on his sock, and he didn't have any other socks, and so I had him try on one of my pairs of socks, and they fit him, and I gave them to him. So I didn't want to see him stranded on the long trail. This is a bug jacket, and I got the idea from Early Riser, and I carried it all this time, and I never ended up using it because the bugs are bad in Maine, and I ended up cutting my hike short 13 miles before Maine. So yeah, I never got to use it, and this thing probably weighs half a pound, maybe 6 ounces, I don't know. Too much. It weighed too much for me to carry it. I also had a head net. This doesn't weigh hardly anything, and I did use this a few times. There's a few times the mosquitoes were bad at night, and I actually wore it at night while I was sleeping to keep the mosquitoes, and it did work. And then this is my must stay dry bag. So this is my electronics. This is my battery bank, and it awesome. I never ran out of charge on anything the whole time, but I will say this is very heavy. And if I was to do it again, which I will be going out again, I will switch to the little 10,000 little thin light ones. That's what all the rest of my family had, I think there's a night core and the anchor, and they also never ran out of charge. So one of the people had 2 of them for 2 anchors for when they do the wilderness, 100-mile wilderness. But they carried it that whole time. They could have had that sent to them at Shaw's Hostel. So I would not do a big one like this again, because this thing it's got to be close to a pound or more, and it's very, very heavy. Cords. So there we go. This cord is a cord that I bought off of actually that hostel that I just mentioned, and that's to charge this. The cord that came with this died and it wouldn't charge, so they sold me one, a used one, and I was very happy. This isn't an anchor cord, but I'm going to tell you, if you're gonna go hiking on a through hike, these cords don't last. But the cords that do last are the Anchor brand. Now this one is as sturdy and thick as an Anchor brand. Even this Apple, this is an actual Apple cord that I bought for my cell phone. I went through 3 of these. They just don't hold up hiking. And so this is great for me to plug in my phone into it. But and I didn't have this brand. I started out with this brand, an Apple cord, and then I moved to another brand and it died, and then I got another brand. It didn't die, but it was super heavy and it was 10 feet long because they didn't have any shorter ones, and so I just left that at a hostel. And then I got an Apple one when I got to a Walmart. Apples are good, but you know how they get, where they can break off and they don't work anymore. This is way, way sturdier. It's thicker, it's just a little bit heavier, but you won't have to keep replacing these. And there were times I couldn't find the cord, and that's how I ended up with a 10-foot cord. I couldn't find one, and that cord was really heavy to carry. So anyway, and then I had this block. I would, in the future, electronic wise, I would make sure I had a fast charging block. I would have fast charging battery chargers, and I would make sure my cords were all fast charging. So that's something that I would do differently. This was my luxury item. And the reason why I carried it is because it only weighed 1.5 ounces more than the bag to inflate my sleeping pad. I love this thing. And this had a dual purpose. When we were starting fires in the fire pits, I would use this to stoke fires to get them going. Would I carry this again? Yes. At the end of the day, I love that I could just hook this up to my sleeping pad and it would work, and I could tell by the sound when it was done, and I would turn it off and I'd be done. I wouldn't have to worry about it. This was my headlamp. It's a Petzl. I bought this 3 years ago when I went on my first hike, so it's been on three like small hikes. And then on my through hike, the battery, this was a rechargeable battery in it, and it died during my through hike, and I had to switch to just putting AAAs in it. And I was thankful I could just do AAAs, but I felt like the rechargeable battery should have lasted longer than that. So they kind of left me without light until I got into town, the next town. So. And this isn't very lightweight compared to what you can get at Z-Packs, which is what Eddie had. This is a cork ball for rolling out your feet at night. I would get a smaller one than this. Was it Around the Bend? Is that where you got off?
Mm-hmm.
At the hostel Around the Bend?
Yes.
They were selling these, and they were selling smaller ones than this. So less room and less weight. This was my bear hang kit. The cord that it came with broke. It was a ultralight cord, so I ended up buying this off of Lady Di's hostel. She had this Dyneema cord, I think it's called. Anyway, it's really, really strong and pretty lightweight. Not as lightweight as the other cord, but this was what the other cord was. It was really thin, but it broke off and I lost it in the tree. So I ended up leaving a trace behind when you're not supposed to do that. What else? Oh, and then this was a set of extra batteries in case these ones died. So that was I didn't really like that. And then this goes with my pump to pump up my air pad. And then, oh, that's a dirty sock. I had this garbage bag because I had this garbage bag from slack packing, and I was just keeping it in the bottom of my pack in case I needed it for slack packing again, and that's what I would put my stuff in, or for if this bag ended up failing, that I would have this as a backup. All right. Next on the list is I call this my privy kit, but it also had a bunch of stuff. So I always had a Ziploc that I could put my toilet paper in if I needed to carry it out for any reason, or if I used a wipe anywhere, I would put my wipes in here, my used wipes in here. Yeah, that's what this would be. And then this was my shovel, and I know this is huge, but I didn't like those. I have a deuce, but I just couldn't get it to dig holes. I had better luck with this, but honestly, a lot of the places the ground was so hard, it was really hard to get a hole dug. But anyway, that was the attempt to dig cat holes. I was successful most of the time, but not all the time. Bud paste. Sometimes I needed this. I don't know what the difference was from one day to the next, but sometimes I needed this. And this also didn't just work on your butt. This worked for any rash. There were other people around that I would see would get, a rash, and they'd be like, oh man, this hurts. I was like, put this on. And in the morning it would be gone, or almost gone, or not as painful and itchy as it was. So anyway, this Boudreaux's butt paste came in handy. Wipes. And then I always had inside here, so if I had to dig a hole or if I went to the privy, I had everything I needed for both occasions. Also, there were lots of times I wore a pad for just to help for sanitation or to keep things clean, but when it was really rainy like it was, these would not stay in place. So, but I do like hiking with a sanitary pad. It just helps for just lots of things. But anyway, I like that on a daily use, not just for women when you need that time of the month. And then I always had a hand sanitizer in here as well. So my bathroom kit had all of that in it. And I always, so whether cat hole or privy, that's what I had. And I kept that stuff in the front of my pack. Toilet paper, my platypus. I don't like this. This is all that the next place I went to had for me to use or buy. I like the Ceanoc way better. You have to be, the only way to collect water is through here, this little hole, and that was not always a good solution. So I would never take this hiking again. I left my Ceanoc at a shelter one day, and I will definitely be replacing this with another Ceanoc. This is my, what do they call these again?
Kula cloth?
Kula cloth, yes. I definitely love these. These are perfect for women. You wash them when you get into town, and they're awesome. They don't smell, and they get the job done. And then this is my, now when I had my Ceanoc was in this with my water filter. So my water filter, my Sawyer, and then, like I told you, I had one extra cap. And in this pouch, I don't have anything in it now, but I would keep my wallet, which had my money and my ID, my health insurance card, all that stuff. I had that in here. I had a couple of bars to snack on quickly during the day. Sometimes I had in the winter, I had my lip balm in here. Oh, my sunscreen. I don't have it because I ran out, but I had a small tube of sunscreen that I would keep in here. And so I could put sunscreen on throughout the day. And that's about it. So snacks, ID. I thought I wasn't doing the right thing, and then someone lost their fanny pack that they had around their waist, and that had all of their ID and everything in it. And I feel like it's a maybe safer option to keep your money and stuff with the pack. Now, if I left my pack, I always pulled my money out and I put it in my pocket in my tights. And I slept with my money too. I didn't leave it hanging in the shelter. And that's not because, well, it wasn't that I didn't trust the thru hikers. It was that there were other people around too. And sometimes you didn't know if the people were living at the shelters, or, you know, some people hang around a long time. Anyway, I didn't want to leave things out for temptation, and so I just didn't. I slept with my money. So that's it, and I think that is it. Oh, and my last piece of gear. So this is the Z-Packs 70-liter, size small. I started with a medium and it was too big. But I also, these shoulder pads, oh, and I also had a hand sanitizer right here. So when I went to eat, I could just, you know, hand sanitize before I ate. You can get packs that are narrower here for the straps for women, and I did not know that. And Z-Packs actually sells a pack for women, but my shoulder pads sometimes would be like here or here, you know, like because my shoulders aren't as wide as a man's are. So I'm wishing I would have got the women's pack just for that, because I did have to fight with that a little bit. I did have the extra pads, and the only thing I had to replace on this pack was, and I'm proud to say, was the waist belt. And I had to change that because I lost weight and the large one wouldn't fit me anymore. And it was cinched up all the way, and I was worrying I was going to get the help that I needed to support my weight at my waist. I love this pack. It took me a long time, you all know, for me and this pack to become friends, but we did become best friends. And chillin', said we should have names for our pack, and she named her pack Jack, because Jack, she said, who's going to carry my pack for me? And I think it was her nephew, Jack, said, I'll take your pack for you. And then he said he had other plans. But anyway, I haven't named my pack yet, but I probably will at some point. I guess I never really updated you on, well, Couch, how much weight did you lose in your 1,486.8 miles? Although Eddie was using the, what were you using? The
AT guide.
The AT guide, and I was using the app.
Far
Out app. And the mileage is different in those two. So what Eddie puts in the video is different than what I have on my app. But I lost 29.6 pounds. I wanted to lose 50, but that's how much I lost. And I'm still gonna work on that. And I lost 29.5 inches because I measured myself before I left. So I'm pretty happy with that. I was only 2/3 done the hike, so I still had more time to finish losing the weight. I didn't have to even think about it while I was hiking though. And yeah, so I'm happy with the success that I had, and I'm happy with my hike, and it's not over yet. And that's it. So cheers. All right, one thing I forgot to mention was that in the first aid kit, you know, your choice of painkillers. So I had ibuprofen and I had extra strength Tylenol in here. And I got the coated ones because they did not hurt my stomach, okay? I didn't skimp and buy the no-name brands, all right? And then this was my spoon. It's titanium, and notice it has these forks on it. So it worked perfectly still as a spoon. But if you're going to eat ramen or anything with noodles, you need the fork portion. So I love this thing. I would not trade this for anything. I know it's Little Buddha. He has a wooden spoon that he uses. They're pretty lightweight too. This is my cook set. So it is I use the small canisters. I use this to keep from everything getting rusty, and also to wipe out my pot. So that was that. My cup didn't have a lid, so I used a piece of tin foil, and I'll just cover it like that for when it was boiling, take it off. And then I just had this 600 milliliter titanium cup. I had a bigger cup with a lid, and I traded it out one of the times I came home with my knees because I just was trying to reduce weight. I had a hot lips for if I was drinking something hot, but honestly, I quit drinking coffee in the morning because it took time, and so I quit doing that. And then I had this little lighter in there, which is why I had the other lighter in my first aid kit as a backup. And then I just had one of these BSR stoves. Now, Eddie and I, we have a one that we got from Z-Packs, and it is really nice. I switched to this because it was lighter than the Z-Pack one. And the Z-Pack one though has a regulator on it for the fuel. This does not, so you end up using more fuel. I can't tell you that I could notice more fuel as far as how many days I got to use it. So this thing is really light, and it was very effective. It is cheap on Amazon. I just screwed on, and this was enough surface area for this cup, so it worked perfectly. And 600 milliliters was enough to boil water and do the things that I needed to do. So that's it. That's a wrap. Cheers. All right, so footwear, I used the Topo Ultra Venture 3s, 5mm drop, and very, very heavy and sturdy. Amazing grip on the rocks. And y'all are laughing, okay, Renee, sure, you're the one that slipped and broke her pelvis, but I did not slip and I had more confidence in these shoes than a lot of other people that I saw. So these things were amazing, and the grip was almost gone completely. I needed new shoes, and I was supposed to get new shoes, but I never got there in time. So these are amazing. I would not go with another shoe again, ever. And then this is a Z-Pack pack cover for the outside. And you're like, Renee, that pack is water resistant. It's not waterproof, water resistant. Why do you need that? Because in the rain that we got, this got heavy. It soaked with water. And then there was a little bit of water in the bottom. But another friend of mine had what are those other packs? The ones that I had before. We have some upstairs. Osprey pack. She had the Z-Pack pack cover because she took the brain off of her pack. Her pack stuff never got wet with this. It's made of Dyneema, and it's waterproof. So I ended up not being able to use this because when I got it, I ended up off trail. Eddie sent it to me in a package, but I was gonna start using this on my packs when it downpoured because I got tired of carrying the extra water weight. All right, that is officially everything. Cheers.